All right. We are here. One more episode of the Art of Being podcast. Aloha, beautiful beings out there. Welcome, welcome. I am thrilled for our next guest, Karen Gibson. She's a parent coach and educator, and her mission is to help parents and their children to overcome limiting beliefs by healing their inner child. Wow. She recently shared her grief journey on social media as part of her healing process when her 90 years old mother lost her battle with Alzheimer's in October 2021. I'm selfishly invited her to come here my podcast because I had a loss last year, actually 2 losses last year. And I want to learn from her how she she went through this grieving process with such a grace that I want to learn from her. And she's also my very good friend. I saw her, she came here to Big Island. She visited me with her husband and one of her daughters. And I was so delighted and so grateful for her to come here and give me a big hug. She was here for 10 minutes and it just filled my heart with her presence. So Karen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I am honored to be here. And yes, those 10 minutes just really lifted my soul as well. It's amazing how such a short amount of time, if you're in the right energy, which is what I think helped me, being in the right space, when you're going through a challenge. Will help you through the healing process. But thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share.
Oh, you're welcome. So I lost my my cat, my baby Mickey cat, and it was very hard for me because I don't have kids, and my 2 cats, they were our kids. Right. For the pet lovers out there, our pets become our children. And when Mickey passed, he had a kidney failure and I was giving some liquids. So I was inserting needles on him and putting an IV and doing this every day, like twice a day. I was doing that. So I'll put needle and I have an IV and then I hydrated him. That alone triggered me. And I didn't know that, but it did trigger me. My brother, one of my baby brothers who had passed away, he had cystic fibrosis, and his entire life was us giving him medication through an IV. So I didn't know at the time, but the act of doing that was triggering me, my brother's passing. And when Mickey passed, and at some point, actually, I had a crisis of the vertigo came in.
I remember that.
Yes, it was really strong. And for 3 days, I think it was the whole weekend, yes, I couldn't give him the medication. And then the next week he passed. And I couldn't get out of the bed. I literally couldn't get out of bed, right? So this whole thing got really entangled. At some point, I didn't know what I was suffering. I was suffering with my vertigo. I couldn't get up. I was suffering with one of my coach told me, start talking to Mickey's soul. Because you're holding on. He wants to go and you're holding on and you're suffering because you're not letting him go, right? So ask Mickey, what does he want? And talk to his soul. And then when I went to that level to talk to his soul and allow to hear his soul, before he passed, I was talking to his soul. And I saw that he was done. He came here and he had a mission and he was done, right? And then the next week he was gone. But all of this trigger, at some point, I didn't know what I was suffering about. Was his loss or was all the feelings that brought up from all the losses that I had in the past, my brother, my sister-in-law, my grandpa, like my best friend, all came through. And I wanted to share what I was going through in my social media, and I couldn't. I was not strong enough to share. And then comes you gracefully, so beautifully sharing your journey of your mother, 90 years old, and her journey of going to the other side. And I was like, oh my Lord, thank you for doing this, because it helped me.
Wow.
So thank you, first of all. And how did you find that strength to share that every day you were sharing what you went through? How did you
Well,
find the
thanks,
strength?
Patty. I never thought of it. You said that you didn't feel strong enough. I don't think it has anything to do with strength. I think sometimes, you listen to your soul. Maybe your soul says you're not ready to share, or maybe you want to keep it private. And so don't associate it, if you're going through a loss right now, or I know people who have their parents in hospice, maybe I know some people have lost their children, their pets. I really believe that it is all about changing our perception about death. And that's what helped me. It is not the end of life. It is the beginning of a transition. So when the nurses said your mom will tell you when she's transitioning, I thought, wow, that's just a positive word for saying she's going to die at any moment. And it's something that you're never prepared for. They say that, right? Even if you know someone's dying of cancer or dying of Alzheimer's, I was wondering, why am I not falling apart? Right. And it does look like, oh, wow, she's, graceful, like you said, she's sharing. But I think part of it was I was literally numb. I was journeying a lot. I was questioning whether people would think, why is she doing this? Why is she, towards the end, my mom's eyes were open, her mouth was open. She looked like she was communicating, I think, to her siblings, maybe to my dad. And I would say, Mommy, who do you see? Because her mom died when she was 16 and her dad died when she was 9. So at 16, she was raised by 3 brothers, and then she had 2 sisters. It was like the Brady Bunch, was the middle child. And then she gives
Wow.
birth to me, an only child. She had a hard time conceiving. And I think being an older mom, I think she was about 31. What I just realized? I was 31 when I
Were
had
you?
Sabrina, and then I was 38. I wasn't, they call it a geriatric mom, think, oh my gosh, you're a senior citizen mom. But I think my parents might have prepared me for this
Mhm.
journey. I don't know. I've learned to become very vulnerable. I recently wrote The Gift of My Failed Suicide Attempt, which is very raw. I just wrote it this past weekend. Someone wanted a chapter. Sandy Davis from Australia. She's doing the Rise to Power or something. And I thought, what do I write? It's supposed to be like a childhood like trauma that you overcame. And I
Uh-huh.
thought death has been something that maybe resonated with me for some reason, because I looked back, and at 30, I
Mhm.
believed I was making the right decision, Patty. I was so at peace knowing that I'm going to end my life. And then I went back to, why do people want to end their life when they have so much to offer, right? And your life
Mhm.
cannot be defined by what you do, how much money you make, if you got your dream house, how you raise your children or your pets, I can just hear, like when you were able to, when you stopped having to, right? You suffered from vertigo. So maybe part of you, I don't know if you like blamed yourself. We have a lot of guilt instilled in us as
Yes.
humans.
Yes,
And I
we
think
do.
I struggled with, am I visiting her enough? Sabrina spent hours, but Waihewa General only allowed us one hour per day per person. But we
Wow.
found out they were very lenient depending on who was working. So sometimes Sabrina would stay longer. And then
Mhm.
Chelsea last week just cried and said, I should have visited grandma more. I wonder if she's upset. And I
Ah,
thought, wow. So I had to hear it myself, just because we didn't, right? Chelsea and I didn't spend as much time. That doesn't mean we didn't love her. That doesn't mean she didn't feel that we didn't love her enough.
sure.
So I
So
think when,
just so you know, people that don't know you, so
yes.
Sabrina and Chelsea
Oh, yes,
are
Sabrina and
your
Chelsea are
daughters.
my daughters.
and the
Sabrina's the older one.
grandfather.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we all grieve differently. As you're losing someone, someone might want to spend as much time with their soon to be departed, and
Mhm.
other people might not want to even spend any time because you want to remember how they looked, how they communicated, how they were.
This is so interesting. You saying this. People grieve differently, and I totally agree because I saw how we grieve my brother, like my mom grieve in one way, my father grieve in a different way, and all my other siblings. We all grieve differently, right? But now what it treated me, what you just said, is like somebody wants to stay with them longer and somebody don't want to even see it anymore. They want to like, okay, no, I want to remember how they used to be, right? When my grandmother passed away, my grandfather, during the funeral, the awakening, he was taking pictures of her in the casket. So the casket was open. She looked beautiful and like very in peace. Like she almost like had a smile on her face, right? And had flowers like daisies, I think was daisies all over her. And he would go like on top of a chair and start taking pictures of her. And people were looking at him like, that's weird. How you want to take a picture of your wife dead? But what you just said is that everybody grieves differently. And we have to respect how each other grieves. For
But
him, he
not
saw
and
a
not
picture of that.
judge, right? Not judge, because I'm glad you mentioned that. When my mom just passed away, the hospital asked, "Would you like to visit?" Right? So we sat with her body. My older one did not understand why when we FaceTimed my cousin, whose mother was my mom's baby sister. She said, "Can I see body?" She's and Sabrina looked at her like me, why? And then she goes, "Oh, Auntie Masako, my favorite auntie, she looks calm." And then we're talking, and she goes, "One more time." She was at work at the time. She goes, "One more time. Can I see Masako's body one more time?" And Sabrina, you can tell, was very uncomfortable. So I said, "We all, like, you don't want to, you think it's like, I don't want to see grandma in the casket." So I was like, your dad. I mean, I didn't go all over, but I thought I want to take a picture. She looked so at peace, and that was my fear because I didn't want too much makeup. I didn't want, so I had a dream, and she said, "Don't live and tell them to try to copy the picture of me made up." And the person did it perfectly.
Oh,
Nothing that my mom would have done, but very light. And then you know that when you're dead, your whole skin is different. She had no wrinkles. I don't know what they did. Someone asked me, "Can you find out what the mortician did?" I'm sure they did some magic. And I just thought, when I see those pictures, it does not bring me sadness. And it's in
mm,
her casket now. And that's when I realized some people might not want to view their loved one, right? And
yes.
then some people, and I didn't realize, I told Sabrina to kiss her on the forehead before we left the hospital. And that's because I had to do that when I was 10 years old. I didn't want to do it. And I did this to my daughter. And I didn't realize she did not want to do it. I think she said, I could have probably felt her energy. And I just said, "It's okay, do it." And so she did it. And then later on, she shared, "Mom, I didn't want to do that." And at that moment, I thought, who was I? Was she doing it for me? Because I needed that closure and say goodbye. Because you can say goodbye and
Yes.
send your love without even being in the room.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
uncomfortable being even in the room, right? I have an aunt, she doesn't even want to be in the church. She can be outside, but she can't be anywhere near the casket. Will you be judged if that's your loved one? And
Mhm.
that's the wake is very symbolic. And that's when I realized we can't be judged. They forgot the newspaper wasn't notified. There was mishap with the mortuary, and so we had probably less than less than half. We expected, we only had probably under 25. And at first I thought, oh my gosh, I ordered 80 bentos. What are we going to do? And then then I went back in and I thought, it doesn't matter. Whoever's here is meant to be here.
Ooh, I
And
love that.
I think if we navigate life, you lose your job, you lose an important person, whether physically or maybe a breakup. You immediately go to how horrifying. How am I going to live without this person? Right? Even if
Yes.
it's a breakup or a
Yeah.
physical death.
Because a breakup is a loss. I was just talking to one of my friends. A
Yes.
breakup is a loss. And my mom actually was the first one who told me when I had a terrible breakup. And she told me, you need to mourn. I was like, he's not dead. What are you talking about? It's like, you need to mourn the end of something. You build this relationship for so long. You need to go through a mourning period.
Wow, such wise words. And that's what we're doing with the pandemic. It's like when, mourning how we used to be able to walk freely and safely and not wear masks. And
Yeah.
these little ones are there, that's what they're going to be used to, right? If you're a toddler, you cannot even imagine a time when we didn't even have to, like, did you take your COVID test? Did you get your vaccine? Those were words that were never uttered from anyone's mouth.
Yes, yes. So yeah, I thank you for bringing that up. That even a breakup, it's a loss, right? So we need to mourn that, and different people mourn different ways,
Yes.
even with that as well. So how can
Losing a
we?
job, right? Losing a
Yes.
job, losing anything that is a loss. It could be,
Yes.
and what I had a hard time doing is losing. I remember losing a watch. My uncle from Japan who had passed gave me this watch, and I lost it. It was at Waikele in the parking lot, and I thought, why am I attached? And that's the
Mm,
question to ask yourself:
mm,
why are you attached to something that should not define your safety or your right. If we
yeah.
emotionally, it's one thing to emotionally connect, but if you feel paralyzed with grief, allow yourself to mourn like you said, but if it continues and it
Mhm,
becomes detrimental to your normal routine,
mhm.
that's when like you said, something's triggering.
Yeah, something triggered. So I took a while. My first loss was when I was a young adult. I think I was 19, probably. But my best friend, he died in a car accident. And I came home during a lunch break from work, and I came home to have lunch. And my whole entire family already knew that he had passed because they called my mom because they were afraid how I was going to react because I was very, very close to him. So they all sat there. I was like, what's going on? I was like, let's eat. And it's like, honey, we have something to tell you. And then she told me. And I remember until today, like if it's really so clear, I was like, no, no,
Denial.
denial, completely denial. I was like, no, let me call our other best friend because we had like three people that were very close. I'm like, no, let me call him. And I called the other friend, and he didn't answer. He didn't answer. I was like, no, and then I call, and he's like, yeah, that happened. And I was numb, like you're saying, like I was numb. Even though I got a confirmation, I was still in denial. I didn't feel anything. I just went and lay down. And all my family is like, oh, what is she going to do? They were really afraid of what
I
I was going to
bet.
do, because I was really close. And it took me a while to go through the grieving because I went through the denial phase. I went to his funeral, and I remember until today, like leaning on his cast, and his father was on the other side of his cast, and he was laying there, and we are both talking, like we put our elbows on the cast and we are both talking about
Oh,
him, like, and just reminiscent things, and I was like, wow, it wasn't an open cast, so I couldn't see him. I was like, he is right here, but I didn't see him as he was gone. For some reason, I still felt like he was alive. Like I went through a very long denial. And I did get to the point that I lost a little bit of interest on life
hmm
because my friends who are not friends with him, my girlfriends, they were after a few months and they could see that I was still like in this really dark place. And I started talking some things. They're like, oh, if a car comes and hit me, oh, well, so I started being like talking about reckless things that if it happened to me and my life would be gone, I wouldn't mind. So I lost that fight for life, it seems like. And then they saw that there was something dangerous and they had the intervention and they got all of them came talk to my mom and they all came to my house and like, what's going on? Right. And I didn't realize that I had lost, I don't know if it's faith. I lost my faith, first of all. I 100% lost my faith. At that moment, I said, God does not exist. Because if God exists.
That is so normal. That is so normal because I think a lot of, because people say, if there was a God, would God do this to me?
Yes, that was my question. Like, God will never take his life. He's like the most beautiful being that I ever met. Did so many good things. He was coming from a charity event. Let's start with that.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And the guy who never put a drop of alcohol in his mouth, he was a drunk driver, came and hit him and he died. Like, look how crazy it is, right? And like, he was such a giving person. Like, why? It's like, no, if God exists, he will never leave Earth, right? And I lost. So I went through this discovery for like, I don't know for how long. Then I decided, okay, at some point, let's search for God again. And I started going to so many different religions because I said, I don't believe on the God that Catholics tells me how it is, right? I was like, it's got to have another answer to death. What is another answer to death? And then I start going to different religions to figure out if they had a reason why this person was gone now.
And it's a healthier perspective, right? I think you and I probably started the same. My parents are from the Philippines. My dad was an altar boy. I was, brought to the whole Catholicism, not knowing that there were other options. And then when you grow up, I realized, I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to baptize Sabrina, my oldest, as a Catholic, and I thought, oh my gosh, a lot of guilt. I wasn't married. You have to, bring her to church. I'm like, she's 4 days old. No, you must bring her to church. And I thought, I am tired. I'm not, And then I remember saying, Daddy, I am like embarrassed to even be associated with with being a Catholic. Nothing against Catholics, but you just get so like, what's going on? Why should I? Why am I, it's a very guilt-ridden, very based on guilt. And so even Sabrina said she has that. And then I felt guilty for sending them to a Christian school for many years. So that guilt was already in me, and then I had to realize, she said, but Mom, we learn like after school, we learn through life's experiences. So don't feel guilty because, right, no matter what. I mean, it's like people who go to, maybe they come from cults and then right? They realize, okay, but it's not anyone's fault.
No.
So I love how you shared that because we do believe, right, that if you were good and you led a very respectful life, well, God wouldn't do that.
Yes.
My friend lost her daughter at 8 weeks old, DUI, on their anniversary, on the husband, and she had to learn how to walk again. They both survived, but very traumatizing. And she said she didn't believe. She stopped believing in God. And then she was happy that her father-in-law had baptized her 8-week-old baby. So see the belief system, then I'm thinking if she had it, then do you feel guilty? You were in a coma or you weren't able to, but that guilt, I think we have to question everyone's belief system. And like you said, respect it, but also which one gives you more peace?
Yes. Because that's beautiful because that's what I was in search. When I went through so many different religions, I was looking for that. I was looking for something that would make sense in my head.
Yeah.
And then that would bring that peace inside of my heart. because I was still like fighting, right? I was still fighting. I was still angry. I was still like not understanding why he left why he left me. Oh, talk about abandonment. I felt that he left me.
Yeah, well, because you don't understand, right? It's like, how
Yes.
could, like, can you imagine losing an 8 week old or losing your mother when you're 6 years old? And you think, but you do really believe at the time that it happened to you,
To
not realizing now I believe everyone has a journey. Your journey might be leaving at 8 weeks old. Maybe your journey
yes.
is to teach your parents how to deal with loss.
Yes.
Maybe there's a rainbow baby. My niece got pregnant, right after losing her son. She doesn't, she still thinks about the son that she lost, but losses, I think, what I think it helps is to embrace death and to change a perception of it isn't a loss, it's an opportunity to experience death in a different way. I've been doing these meditations and I believe that you can communicate with the afterlife. And I did this meditation with Moldavite. It was in the bathtub. I got Moldavite salts, and Sabrina and I both had the same experience where we saw my mom and dad.
Well, tell
We
me about
saw
that.
them.
Wait,
Yeah,
tell me about that.
yeah. So they were dressed differently, but one was on my right, and guess what?
Mm.
Sabrina also had my mom on her right. It was very weird, but my worry was, right, of course. Can you guide me? Can you protect my children? Can you? And they were like, stop worrying. Is
Oh.
trust in their journey, but most of all, trust in my journey. And that is the hardest thing because we compare, we judge, we wonder. My whole thing I realize is feeling incompetent,
Mhm.
wondering my worth, and really that's why I think that healing the inner child, if no one knows, who's watching this, who is the inner child, it's that little boy or girl within you that has all of these hurts and wounds because you did not even know, right? Your brain wasn't developed fully as you're growing. So then you transform it into adult with these inner child wounds. So when I was, it was such a peaceful thing. I don't know if you're supposed to, actually, you were supposed to do it in a bath because they were Moldavite, like bath salts, but
So tell me, so
very
you go in the bathtub, explain to me how is the
They're
ritual?
yeah, they're Moldavite bath salts. I got them in this crystal shop in Kailua because Moldavite itself is supposed to help you like connect to the afterlife, or it comes from Czechoslovakia. It's supposed to be like a something from the universe that falls. I forgot what that, right? It's
Okay.
actually from outer space. And I just thought this sounds so weird, but let me listen to this meditation. And I found one on YouTube. There's so many. How to connect with your deceased souls or how to connect, and it was the most peaceful experience. And what's shocking is my daughter also, Sabrina also did it. And Chelsea said, I'm gonna wait to use the special sauce. Maybe it could be like, I don't know, or I want to save it. I want to save it until I'm ready.
Oh
So
my
I let
goodness.
that go. But I
Mhm.
think, however you choose, it is a choice to see grieving as a continuing process. Like I know you
Mm.
lost your brother many years ago, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And other people, like Thomas lost his dad when he was 20. He's going to turn 50 this year.
Wow.
My husband Thomas lost his dad, found his dad in the yard who had passed.
At 20 years old.
He was 20. His
Wow.
dad was in his 60s. Bugs were coming out of his mouth already. So you know that he had just talked to him hours before that after he came home, they were going to do yard work together. He found out it was a sudden, either a heart attack or stroke that he didn't suffer. He literally just fell. But at 20, we were talking about our youngest will turn 20.
Yes.
And it's just, I think because now sometimes I look at people and, oh, wow, they still have their mom and they're 60 or they're older than me. And then you figure, right? Because I'm sure, do you do that? Like, why couldn't my loved one, why couldn't Mickey, why couldn't fill in the blank live just a little bit longer?
Yes. 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 Yes.
But then we're not in the now, we're in the regret,
Hmm.
which we can't redo.
Hmm. So you decided, how do you go about, like, because you're sharing the social media, right? You share
Yes.
how you were grieving, and that for me it really helps me. And then of course people can say, oh, everything is fine, she's breathing, she's not feeling any pain, I'm sure you went through ups and downs, but you just allow yourself to go through those ups and downs. Like, how did you go through that pain?
It is embracing feelings and not judging them, because I notice I know some people, I don't want to cry, so I don't watch sad movies. I don't want to see. And so soon after that, Thomas and I chose this movie, and it was this man going through hospice with his wife who had to tell her two young children that she was dying. And I was like, isn't this a great movie? And he looks at me and I
Oh,
said, I love movies who just tug at my soul, and especially if they're relevant. I'm like that. And I think it helps to heal. It sounds weird, seeing a movie about death right after you experience death, but
no.
I needed to change that perception. And I've been reading about like the grief process from my dad. My dad died in 2016. So I think I was preparing. But the moment I had that call, Patty, where your mom passed at 6:40, and you know what? I didn't hear my phone ring. So first, I was very angry that they kept calling and I didn't hear it. My phone was with
Oh,
me. My phone was with me and I didn't hear it. And the
uh-huh.
volume was on, I don't know what happened. I had to let that go. And as I was driving, guess what? I was planning your funeral. I forgot we were going to cremate her, and I said I have to find the pallbearers, and I don't know what kind of food we have to do the collage. And Sabrina goes, "Mom, stop.
Wow.
She
Wow.
just died, and you're going into
A
planning
do
mode."
mode. A do mode. Do. So we don't feel, right? How many
And you know
times?
me, I am
Yeah.
always about planning and goal setting. And I thought, I am doing this. And my mom just died less than 30 minutes ago.
But it's very easy for us to do that. We go into a doing mode, and then we don't allow our feeling mode, right? We don't embrace our feelings because we are in a doing. The moment that we take a break from that doing mode, I mean, do this, that, and we allow to be in the present with our feelings, then we can start healing, right? For
And that's what your
anything.
podcast, right? The Art of Being. I just
Yes.
love that title, because when all of us were around her, right? And then
Mhm.
we knew she had passed, but we started sharing memories. And with this blanket that had a photo collage of different moments, different people. And we started talking, remember that happened? And then and then the nurse came in and said, I can tell that your mom died in peace, very calm. And they
Mhm.
had to pronounce the time of death just in case the other person wasn't certified, which we thought was really weird, because we know she died at, whatever time, but I guess for medical purposes, for recording. But we all sat around her, and I think we gave ourselves permission to just be. I
Mhm.
wasn't, at the moment when I look back, I don't think I cried, because I think maybe I felt her energy. Now that I look back, I've been reading and watching videos where your energy does not die, your physical being dies. And that brought me so much comfort. Like Mickey's
Oh,
energy is still around you. When you just picture your best friend's energy, they might have physically died, when you were 19, but knowing that you have the tribe of guardian angels around you. And I said, you know what? We're going to be fine. We are going to be fine, because grandma is with us. So I tell my daughters, talk to grandma. And if you're stressed,
mhm.
know that grandma and papa are right beside
Right
you,
there. Yes.
right beside you. And you don't need to have them physically in your life to enjoy their presence. I think that's the misconception, that when someone dies, you just think, how horrifying, I'm never going to see them again. But wouldn't you rather feel them? I told her, in a way, it's even better, because they are not that wish them dead, but you always have them around you. You don't have to visit them.
Yes. Yes. I agree with you. And that, but it took me a while to understand that what you're talking about, that
Yes.
concept. It did not, it was not, it's not taught to us, right? Growing
It is
up.
definitely not taught. I mean, we cry hysterically when we're told, someone is at stage 4 cancer, someone is,
Yes. Yeah. So
right, they're dying.
it took me a while, many years in my life to start to connect. with to the loved ones that had passed and really connect, you know. And I remember the one of meditation that I did not long ago, maybe 3 years ago, that it was a deep, I was doing a retreat, you know, and one of this meditation, I was able to see my guides and see all of them. I saw my brother, I saw my best friend, I saw my cousin, which for me, he's my twin soul, my cousin, and then my grandpa and my grandma. I saw all of them around me. I was like, oh my God, they're here. You know, they're right here next to me. And it was such a beautiful thing. And then I felt my feet, one of my foot, actually my left foot. My brother was touching my foot. I felt the sensation on my foot because he used to love doing massage on the feet,
Oh my
you know.
gosh.
And then I felt like this is, no, no, I went like in and out of the meditation, like, whoa, this is weird. I'm feeling him. Like, wait.
Is this really happening? Am I imagining it, right? Sometimes you think when I was in the bathroom, I'm like, am I imagining it? Because they're telling me to look and then is my imagination. But I
Yes,
think don't mistrust it. And I know people have different belief systems, but I think you can. I have a 5-year-old. Grandma is Buddhist and the grandpa is Christian. He goes, "Can I believe in both?" You know, and we're taught just to follow one religion, and they're saying yes. You can believe multiple religions, right? Some people have a grandma who's Jewish and a mother who's right,
yes,
Catholic and Jewish, and you think, no, this can't happen. But I think that's the misconception that we can combine beliefs and we can
yes,
like whatever brings us peace because that's the ultimate goal, you know, to just
yeah,
live with that peaceful energy so that we're not frazzled and you know when you get into that space like I don't think I can do this anymore
yes,
which I do sometimes like during the day you're like ah this is so stressful and then like you said deep breathing and just being.
I love that. I love that. Tell me one thing, because what is something, I think was Des, your friend, Deslin, our friend, but she's very good friend with yours. She was talking about things that you shouldn't tell people
Oh,
when you just hear that somebody lost somebody. Like, what is something that we should avoid telling people? It's like, oh, I feel for you, or what is that we
it's
should
they're no
avoid
longer
saying?
in pain, you know. It's a good thing that she died. She's no longer in pain. I think if
Oh,
someone
that,
loses, if you have a miscarriage and they say, well, it wasn't meant to be, you know, it's actually a blessing. When you tell someone that their loved one dying is a blessing, my friend said that she would have had her mom with her suffering than dead. But I think we don't know what to say. So people
mhm.
say that. I had a friend who said, you know, when you see swollen hands and feet, just know that she's going to die at any moment. And she kept texting me that, are her feet swelling? Are her hands swelling? And I thought it just bothered me and really, really close friend. And I thought, I know that we've traveled similar journeys. She lost her mom the same way to Alzheimer's, but I thought, I know she means well, but it was almost like saying, is she going to die now? Watch, she might die now. She might die now. And I thought right now I wasn't ready to look for signs. I just wanted to
Yeah,
be with my mother. And you know those last few hours? I remember with my dad, right? You don't know. They turn the monitors around so you're not looking at the, you know, the numbers to
the
see is it
numbers,
getting
yes.
close? Is she breathing? You just want to just be. So I think the words might be, you know, I'm here. Just to let you know that I'm here. I had a lot of people, you might not want to talk, and that's all right. Just know that I'm here and call me, you know, whenever you need to. I've had people just checking in. Are you okay? And I thought, how nice. You don't have to answer. I thought how nice to know that they're thinking of me, but I don't have the responsibility
To
to
reply
answer
back.
back. Oh my gosh, because when you have, you know what happens, right? Right when you find, and Sabrina goes, you just posted it that she died, and then notification, notification, notification. I said, you know, it's healing for me maybe to just say she passed.
Yes,
Some people say, yeah, I didn't want to say, but she passed 3 days ago. You know, I lost, you know, like how you with Mickey, and I thought
yes,
maybe it was part of my personal healing that my journey has shifted
Yes.
Physical being is no longer here, but now, like today, I was telling you earlier before we went live that today marks the 3 month mark. And I thought it wasn't an accident that you asked me to do this. I've never been on a podcast talking about grief. It's normally, what do you tell parents or what do you, all this, right? The emotional quotient thing. And I thought this was meant to be because I think, I just realized now we have to prepare children for the
Yes.
death of their loved ones because my mom was 9 when she lost one parent and 16.
Wow.
My mom had to go to the camp when she found out her parent died.
Wow.
The other parent said, "You're still going to go on the school trip." And I'm thinking she probably had 6 kids. You probably say,
Mhm.
you know what? Yeah, I need you to go because and so what are you taught? What are you taught? You're taught you need to do what you're supposed to do, that to-do
Yes.
list. Maybe that's why
Yes.
I went there.
Yes.
What do
That's
I need to
true.
do? I needed to, because I was taught, write your to-do list. Make sure you have things in order. Cross off. You are not accomplished until you cross things off. So if I make a to-do list, yesterday I didn't cross off one thing. Okay, rewire, right? NLP, it's okay. It does not define my worth.
Yeah.
It's okay to leave things incomplete.
Yes.
It's okay to cry.
Amen to that.
It's okay not to accept. Give yourself permission. You might take a while, right? With Mickey, you took a while and it's an ongoing process. That's what Deslin
Yes.
has taught me. It's ongoing. It can be 10 years, it can be
Yeah.
20 years, and then all of a sudden, a song like
Mhm.
Sukiyaki played, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is a song I played with my mom.
Uh-huh. Wow. I love the what not to do and what to do. One of our friends have somebody in their life that passed. So I'm definitely gonna put that on the show notes because I think that's very important. We don't know what to say when something. I'm so sorry for your loss. That's what I think about,
Well,
right? But
that's the traditional phrase. And I think I didn't know what to say to my auntie when my cousin died. He was 50, and I was having so much anxiety going down the line, right? Catholic service. And my friend said, just hug her. So I did that. No words. You know me, I'm filled with words. I just hugged her, and she said, he shouldn't have died. It's not right that a child die before their parents. And I said, I know, auntie. And I just hugged her. And then I went on, and I thought, wow. You don't have to have the perfect words.
you don't need to have perfect. But there
Now
are
with
some
phones,
words that
send a
not to
hug.
say.
Yes, send a hug emoji. That's the thing with cell phones now.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. All right. Don't tell people, oh, I'm glad now he's not suffering or she's not suffering
And
more.
that's just me. Yeah, that's just
That's not a
me.
no-no. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
Tell
And
somebody.
maybe someone else might be, that's just personal, but I know that
Yeah.
with other people, because what you're saying is, aren't you glad they're dead? They're not suffering. And you think, right? In essence, you're saying,
True. True.
right?
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Karen, for being with him. So if people wanted to connect with you, because you have so many things that you can talk about that your experience, we just talked one little piece of what you can share with people. You have so much that you can share with people. But if somebody is going through a grieving process and if they want to just talk to you a little bit more, or if they want to talk about what is this inner child that we can all heal? How do people connect with you? What is the best way to reach out to you?
I think to personally reach out, Karen at lettinggowithaloha.com. But I'm on all platforms, same name, Letting Go with Aloha TikTok, Letting Go with Aloha Instagram, Letting Go with Aloha YouTube channel. So letting go is my message. And yes, reach out to me because I think my mission is to share it and just help heal. So Karen at lettinggowithaloha.com. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for this opportunity, Patty.
Oh, thank you so much for being here with me today. I truly appreciate you sharing your story because I believe the more we share, the more we heal.
And the
And
more we care.
share,
Yes, I love that.
yes,
Sharing is
sharing is
caring. And I think when
caring.
we feel cared for, guess what? We're
Yes,
healing.
So thank you. And for you beautiful listeners out there, if you resonated with me and want to have a conversation, head over my website at www.patihoyt.com. It's PATIHOYT.com, and send me a message. Or follow me on the Instagram at Coach-Pati. And until we meet again, remember, be the light and feel empowered. Aloha.
Aloha.